call the meeting to order. Everyone, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Here.
Dempsey. Here. Fournier.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Crop.
Here.
Menser. Voorhees.
Here.
Okay, we'll move on to announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. Mr. Johnson?
The only thing we've got here is we do have the minutes of the local officers compensation commission.
Does anybody have any questions or comments about the findings of the Local Officers Compensation Commission report? Okay. Hearing none?
So I just have to ask, so
Okay.
as in the past, we always voted on this, and now it's been determined we don't have to vote? Is that how this works?
I would go further than that. I would say it was actually inappropriate for you to vote on that in the manner that you did. You do have the right to vote to reject it, but you do not have the right to vote to approve it.
But we're not voting to whether or not to reject it, we're just
It's up to
accepting
you.
it.
So,
Okay.
yeah, if anyone at this point wants to make a motion to reject the report, then we can.
No.
Okay, hearing it, does anybody else have any questions or comments? I, of course, would like to thank the members of the Compensation Commission, which would be Karen Bates-Gazier, Mr. Joe Harrington, Michael Luke, thank you, and Michael Simmons, for meeting and going over all of the information and making the determination that they did. Okay, hearing nothing else, we will go ahead and move on. And at this time, it is adoption of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor Crop, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, any questions or comments? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and call the roll, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser. Yes. Voorhees.
Yes.
Okay, this is the portion of the meeting for public participation. First, we will address those in person, and we will ask that you come to the microphone, give us your full name and your residential address, and abide by our 3-minute rule. And then after we've heard from everyone in person, we'll go to Zoom. Is there anyone in person who would like to address the commission? You can come right up.
Hi, Diane Kubick, 93 Riverside Drive, also owner of Max and Ollie's downtown. I understand on the agenda tonight you are going to do the second read-through for the streets maintenance contract. I have some things to say. Over the years, streets maintenance, particularly our street sweeper, have been second rate. Before the Facebook pages light up, we pay extra for this. It's part of our CAM charges, and we have not been happy with this service for years. It might have been a good idea before you reviewed this contract again to speak with some of the business owners. We've had issues with him being there later than he's expected. Just before you renewed his last contract on Small Business Saturday, with 2 feet of leaves in the streets, he was sitting at the end of the block at 9:30 in the morning having a cigarette. This is our big day to sparkle, and we walk in and our customers are walking through feet of leaves. This is unacceptable. We understand it's a low bid contract, which is what we got back from that whole complaint. And we understand that he didn't know it was Small Business Saturday. It shouldn't have made a difference. Nobody's making sure he's gone by 8:30. There was a cup that sat in the back parking lot. I left it there because I thought I want to see what happens. A big red Solo cup in the sidewalk, very visible, 3 days. I finally picked it up because I thought this is just ridiculous. So please, our town is growing. I don't know if you all know this, but all of a sudden we hit new heights we have never seen. The coffee house, the bakery, it's incredible. It's absolutely, I'm blown away by what's been happening in this town. We can't afford to look like this. You've heard this from me before. Please come down and talk to us. Find out if this is working, because I'm telling you right now, it's not. Please reconsider this contract, table it, at the very least, make sure he's gone by 8:30. There's a whole nother problem too we need to discuss. He stops December 1st. The leaves aren't even off the trees yet. We need to look at that contract, because if it doesn't snow by mid-December, the town looks, trashy again. We need to figure out a way that we can keep those streets clean in the winter, because we're getting some good traffic now. We want to look our best. So please come and talk to us or do something, but this is not where you want to go, and it's not where we want our money going. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, good evening. My name is Vito Strolis. I reside at 19862 Westchester in Clinton Township. I would like to present a print to the city of Mount Clemens at the Crocker House with the vehicles imposed. This was from Charlie Winkler. He was the photographer for our car club, and he passed away last year. And I've been holding on to it for about a year, but it's a really neat print. It has the photos, like I said, that he put the vehicles from the 40s in the proper attire. I would like to be, on behalf of Charlie, he was a wonderful person, present this to the city. I apologize, it's dusty because it was sitting in a storage for about a year. But I'd like to present that and just have the fond memories. And like I said, he's got the vehicles imposed of that era, and I think it'll be a home run. And that's about it. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Do you want to, so we can, yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Maybe this clip when we can, yeah, okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who would like to address the commission in person at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to Zoom. Is there anyone on Zoom? No. Okay, awesome. We'll go ahead and move on then to number 7, administrative responses to issues or questions raised during previous meetings. It looks like we don't have any, so we'll go ahead and move to approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the city commission meeting minutes for December 6, 2021.
Support.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or comments for the minutes? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Agenda item 9, general business, second public hearing for downtown maintenance. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to open the public hearing on the special assessment for the downtown maintenance program.
Okay,
Support.
thank you.
Okay, thank you. Before we start taking public comment, let me just mention that this is the hearing on the special assessment for downtown maintenance. This is not approving a particular contractor. Regardless of what we do here, we can, if we choose to, put out an RFP on that contract. That very well could change the price, but they are two completely separate items.
Do we want, we'll go ahead and open it to the public then and hear your comments. Obviously, we heard from Diane earlier. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to that complex? Go ahead, Diane, if you want to speak again on it.
I realize it's probably going to cost more, but we're getting what we pay for it. And, one little walk downtown will let you know that maybe we need to pay more. And even if you guys decide that that's not the route that you want to take, we need to get on this guy. We need to, he could do a better job. We realize he's not going to get nooks and crannies because he's the low bid. But can you get the big stuff by 8:30? And, I'm just saying. But I really think that we've grown to the point and we've arrived. Let's look like it. Let's clean this place up. That's all I got to say, but please, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to come and talk to the business owners.
So this is to approve the actual assessment on the businesses, like we were saying, Mr. Johnson was saying. Is there anyone else who would like to add? Yes, Commissioner Menzer.
I have heard a version of Diane's complaint from several businesses. And so what I would like to see is first, do we know exactly when the maintenance contract ends? Apparently not. So what I would like to see is, so what I would like to see is this go out for an RFP when the contract is up, to see if we attract some, other, maintenance companies. There are a lot of small companies in the city who have advertised heavily on the Mount Clemens Facebook pages that they do, clean up, residential and other business. So I think we might be able to attract some other interest. I think the assessment, the assessment is fine, and we go ahead with the assessment, but I think this contract needs to go out for an RFP.
I agree. I don't think, firsthand, I think I've seen the lack of spectacular results by this guy. And in fact, one day he and I got into it because he threw something on the ground, and I said, "What the heck are you doing?" And he was in his truck. And he said, "I clean it up, I can throw it on the ground." And I've never forgotten that. So I'm not a big fan, but there are times that those leaves and the cleanup, it's sad. I mean, it should be, there's no reason for it, absolutely no reason. So I sympathize with you, and I agree that we should look at his contract, and even if it is for a while yet, we should hold him accountable. There's got to be a clause in there that says if you're not doing the job, hit the road. No pun intended. But, no, I agree. Let's do the assessment, but take a look at what he's doing. Is it just the one person? This is, yeah. Okay.
Do I get to say something else?
Oh, sure.
Sure.
I mean, it's a public
open.
hearing, I suppose, so.
When you send out for the RFP, remember that you may be comparing apples to oranges. This guy strictly sweeps the streets. I don't think he really occasionally touches the sidewalks. So I think maybe part of it is we need to have a real idea of what it is we want to see done. That might help us to get where we eventually want to end up. Like the leaves piled up in front of Bath City. Whose responsibility is that? If he's supposed to be doing the sidewalks, then that's on him. So I think part of the problem moving forward is we need to know exactly what it is we're expecting. But yes, hold them accountable if you keep them. Thank you.
Diane, is he usually done by 8:30?
Oh, no.
No.
10:30.
I've witnessed him past noon.
I'm sorry.
I've witnessed him past noon in the
Okay.
downtown.
Okay,
The contract does say 8:30.
It starts till 8:30.
okay, all
And then
right.
it's coffee and a cigarette.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely need to look into this, hold him accountable. We're trying to build up the downtown, and we want it to look presentable.
I witnessed another interesting thing in the downtown the other day. I was downtown, out on the sidewalk, talking to somebody, and I watched somebody who lives in the Denver building walk out of his apartment and walk over with a bag of household trash, and walk over to the garbage can in between Max and Ollie's and Bath City Bistro. And I watched him take the lid off and stuff his household trash, his whole entire bag in there, and pushed it hard so that it would go in. Now, I believe that if he's renting an apartment in that building, there is some kind of trash receptacle, a dumpster or something that he is supposed to be putting his trash in. If we have residents in lofts filling up our garbage cans, then somebody like me or Diane or Vito who are walking down the street are not going to be able to pick up trash and put it in the can because it's full. So I think that needs to stop. That definitely needs to stop.
Anyone else have any questions or comments on this? Anybody from the public? We can move to close the public hearing then. I'll
I
entertain a
move
motion.
to close the public hearing on the special assessment for the downtown maintenance program.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menzer,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
All right, then I move to confirm the special assessment roll number 2201.
Do I have a second?
Support.
Anybody have any questions or comments? I do have the expectation that we will reassess the contract. So, I think we made that clear, but I just wanted to add that in. All right, anybody else with questions or comments? Roll call, please.
Crop,
Yes.
Menzer,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
All right, agenda item 9B, the audit presentation.
I'm going to call on Finance Director Cliff Mason to start this off and to introduce our guest from Plant Moran.
Yeah, for many years, I've been doing it for 5 decades.
Mr. Mason, will you speak into the microphone so that you can be picked up?
Since doing this early 1970s, a lot of times when you're told the auditors are coming, it's kind of, I want to say a sense of fear, but more, hey, what did we miss? What's not done? What are they going to find? And what's the final presentation going to be with the mayor and council? Well, I think this particular year, I'm going to introduce the 2 young ladies who are very professional, very skilled, very talented, very helpful. And finish up say, I was really, really glad to see them. Last year we did virtual. It was, we had to do it because it was the proper way of doing it at that time. But this year, they're back in, so you had the one-on-one, and there's a lot to be learned and give and take on both sides. So this time I'd like to introduce Lisa, partner, Plant Moran. I think, how many years you been here, Lisa?
On the City of Mount Clemens
Yeah.
audit, 24 years.
Cool. There you go. And Veronica, first time as senior manager on this account?
Correct, yes.
Okay. I think they're going to give a presentation that all of you are going to enjoy.
All right, thank you very much for that introduction, Cliff. We appreciate that, and also appreciated the hospitality of the city and the cooperation and the fine job preparing for the audit. That certainly makes our job easier when clients are ready to go and take the audit process very seriously, which certainly Cliff and his team did, and the cooperation of everyone at the city always helps with that process. So again, my name is Lisa Planka, Governmental Auditing Partner with Plant Moran, and very pleased to serve as a supervising partner for the audit of the City of Mount Clemens. Veronica Tausen is with me tonight. She's a manager who works extensively in our municipal practice as well. She was new to the account this year, but supervised the day-to-day of the audit and really responsible for making sure that things got done, which they did, so appreciate that. The first place that I want to start is just to say our contribution to the financial statement, which I know you've received in PDF, is really the opinion letter that comes at the beginning of that 80-page audit document or financial statement document. Is the most important part that we provide is our opinion, which again this year is an unmodified opinion, which means that the financial statements are appropriately stated, materially correct, and follow all of the accounting principles that are put out by the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, which I think we're approaching 100 GASBs at this point, which at least when I got started with this, we were, I think, on like 24. So certainly been a lot of activity from GASB, to Cliff's point, that things do continue to become more complicated each year in the financial statements. But again, unmodified opinion, which means they're properly stated and include all of the necessary disclosures that you would expect to see. So that's a clean opinion and what you would want to see every year. What that doesn't really tell you is what's the financial condition of the city, which in my opinion would be the even more important part of the conversation. Veronica will go through our graph presentation in a moment, but I think just from a high level, what we see again is continued trends. So even with all of the uncertainty and continued difficulties that we certainly are experiencing as a country and across the world, continuing to see stability in the financial results, continuing to see stability in revenue sources, which obviously have had a lot of ups and downs over the years. So I would say it's a positive report from a financial perspective, continued building of fund balance in the general fund, which, as we all know, is critical from a budgeting perspective, and having that fund balance available to make decisions and be in a position of strength if there are unforeseen circumstances that happen. So we're glad to see that stability. Certainly continue to see challenges just from a perspective of retiree health care funding. We've talked about that for many years. The city has continued to make contributions to that retiree health care fund and beginning to see the investment returns on that, but that is something that's a longer term proposition to get that to a higher level of funded status. But again, that's part of building that fund balance, is to have options and be able to make those decisions. So that's a high level. We'll talk about that in a little more detail. The other thing that unmodified opinion doesn't tell you is just how did the audit go? How was the process? Is there anything new or unexpected? So you did receive a copy also of our letter at the end of our end of audit communication, which includes 3 sections to it that I'll cover briefly. The first section is our consideration of internal control at the city, which every year as part of the audit process, we're required to obtain an understanding of internal control and to report out to you as a city commission if there's anything that comes to our attention in the course of the audit that indicates a deficiency in internal control. This year we do have 2 items that we've reported. One is related to segregation of duties, which is something that we've had for a number of years. And I guess we'll say that we do see progress being made. We see efforts being made to find segregation of duties, but we also can acknowledge it as a challenge in a smaller staff environment. So we continue to have that item as a reminder that it is important to focus on that, but also thought it was important to point out that it's not being ignored. There are improvements being made, but still areas we see that could be strengthened. The other item relates to year-end audit adjustments, and this again kind of gets to how did the audit go. This year we did only have 1 journal entry that we identified through the course of the audit, and I'd say that's pretty common. That's probably about the most common finding that we have at the end of an audit, is there might be an entry that was missed, and we proposed it and it's been corrected in the financial statement, which is the important part. So the item that we found related to a year-end journal entry to record additional water and sewer receivables, and it was not posted in the closing process, but is properly reflected now.
Your note says that it was unbilled as of June 30th.
Yes, so that's part of the calculation, is that it reflects the fact of how your billing cycles work. So if there's a billing that happens in July or August, part of that bill relates to prior to June 30 usage. And so an estimate has to be done to record the portion of that billing that related to the year we're auditing. So it's something that just, again, gets posted at the end of the year. It's not a recurring entry throughout the year.
And the other thing to consider related to that adjusting entry is the proper calculation was performed. It was just the journal entry that was posted, that was the piece that was incorrect.
So they posted the wrong entry, or?
Yes, it was a duplicate posting.
Oh, I see.
So not overlooked.
But you still consider that a material weakness?
Unfortunately, yes, only because when the statements come to us, they, our responsibility is to look at them in almost like a print-ready format. And so when we received the initial trial balances the balances were doubled and the duplication was material.
Okay.
The second section of our letter, that's required communication, again, kind of goes to just the audit process itself, which really most of that I think is fairly straightforward. It talks about our responsibility, which is to audit the financial statements and give an opinion on them. In that letter, we also report on anything new or significantly different in the financial statements. Really, this year, there was just one new standard from GASB that was implemented that really did not have a very monumental change to the financial statements. So I don't think it had to do with the presentation of agency activity. And so it really did not have a significant effect, but you may see some new disclosures that we're happy to answer questions on if anyone has them. In addition to that, we do continue to have some discussion in that letter just talking about the number of significant estimates that go into the city's financial statements, things such as retiree health care and pension. We rely on a third-party actuary that performs calculations. We consider their assumptions. We make sure that they're appropriate and in line with industry standards, but again, bring that to your attention just because they're significant numbers and there's a lot of estimate that goes into those calculations. Besides that, the rest of the audit did conduct according to the plan, scope, and timing. There were no big surprises, nothing unusual that came up that we weren't expecting as we got into the process. So overall, that's also a positive report. So with that, I will hand it over to Veronica just to go through the financial highlights.
Thank you, Lisa. So as Lisa mentioned, I just want to cover in more detail some of the big picture highlights that we pulled out of the full 80-page packet of the financial statements. So the first item that we wanted to highlight here is the growth in the general fund revenue. So as you can see here, there was year-over-year growth of about 1.5 million. Now, majority of that growth you'll see is in the state and federal revenue category. Majority of that is the result of the additional CARES Act funding that was received this year. The other category that you will see an increase is the other revenue and transfers. That increase is a result of a transfer in from the sidewalk fund. So according to GASB, the sidewalk fund is required to be included within the general fund. And so as a result, any transfers in and transfers out related to the sidewalk fund are going to show up here. And so you'll see that it appears to be an increase when that's what that's related to.
Do you know what the number would have been without the
Yes.
sidewalk fund?
So without that transfer, the number would have been 459.
Thank you.
No problem. And then along those same lines, you'll see that transfers out within the general fund expenditures increased by that exact same corresponding amount. So it doesn't end up changing fund balance at all, but you will see that amount reflected in both the revenues and the expenditures. So you will see growth in the expenditures this year as well. And again, the primary category of the growth would have been within Public Works and Recreation. And again, that's related to the expenditures that were associated with the CARES Act funding. The other thing that I did want to highlight and point out here is that there was a decrease in the insurance and pension expenses this year, which is always great to see a decrease in that area, especially with a self-insured plan. So.
Is that a decrease in rates or?
So not necessarily a decrease in rates. Because the plan is self-insured, it's really just dependent on how many claims are being
Okay,
incurred
that's
by
right.
city employees. So,
So it's a decrease in claims.
yep, exactly. So then this slide here, we just wanted to highlight the overall trends in the general fund balance over the past 18 years. And the reason we like to highlight the number of years that are included here is really to show how far the city has come, especially since 2005. So if you look at where fund balance was in 2005, it was dangerously low at under $1 million of fund balance. And because of the great budgeting that management at the city has been able to do over the past few years, you will see that fund balance has continued to grow almost every year since 2005, except when you see the slight dip in 2012 through 2015 because of the decreases in property taxes. And as Lisa had mentioned, the net pension and net OPEB liabilities are two of the bigger numbers that you will see within the financial statements. Now, the net pension plan, the pension plan is very well funded. So you will see Series 1 is showing what the net pension liability is, and then Series 2 is what the plan net position is. So really it's showing you in orange what the investments are within the plan. And then the blue graph is really showing what is expected to be paid out related to the pension. So over the past 4 years, the plan has been very well funded, and at the end of this year, the plan is 104% funded.
That's awesome. That's excellent. That's great.
Absolutely.
That's because you have an excellent retirement board. Is that not right?
Who's on that board?
Yeah. Somebody was chairman of that for about 30 years.
And this is best in class. There are a lot of communities that,
Loomis
even on
Sa-
the pension side,
Loomis Sales does a great job.
Yeah.
are not near to this funded percentage.
Absolutely. And the even more impressive piece is watching that 13% increase in the funding percentage from 2020 to 2021. And that increase is really attributable to the investment gains this year. The market had great performance. So in a year like this year, when you have good market performance, you're going to see that increase. And then the net OPEB liability, on the contrary, had quite a ways to go to get to a similar funding percentage. So again, you'll see in blue here is representing the total OPEB liability. So although the total OPEB liability has continued to decrease over the years, the funding of the liability hasn't climbed as significantly as the pension plan, but it has been increasing. So there have been some contributions to that plan over the past few years that have helped to bump the funding level from 0% to 4% now. And now if we are looking at the water supply system, we like to show this graph here really to represent where the city has come from a cash perspective in the water supply system. So if you look at 2017, the debt service expenses were slightly higher than what the unrestricted cash balance was in that fund. And as you look over the past 5 years, the cash balance has continued to grow as the debt service amount has continued to decrease. So that fund is becoming more and better funded throughout the years.
Thank you, Cliff.
And this similar view here within the sewage disposal system. Now, although this one wasn't as severe with the funding level in 2017, you do see that unrestricted cash continues to grow as the debt service requirements continue to decrease. So again, it shows a great job on management's part to get the cash in such a great position to be able to fund these different funds. And that was everything that we wanted to specifically point out within the financial statement, some of the key highlights that we wanted to show you all. And if anyone had any questions, we're happy to answer.
Commissioner Fournier, I can see you.
I'll let Commissioner Mentor go first.
Go ahead, Commissioner
I was gonna
Benson.
say, the first thing is, we need to give a shout out to Cliff and his staff, not only for the financial picture, but you got it here, the disclosures in the financial statement are neutral, consistent, and clear. And, that you had no disagreements with management, so thank you, Cliff and staff. We had a discussion tonight, or it was brought up earlier tonight, about the, you've got a note here about the ARPA funds, and we had a discussion about, further discussion on how we're gonna spend those and what we're gonna do with them. So I was happy to see, your note in here. You have something in here about the significant, I wish this was numbered, but you have something in here about the significant elements of the new standards. Use auditor reporting standards. So it says standard 137 addresses auditors' responsibilities, et cetera. You know where, okay. What is the anticipated result of this change? What kind of extra work will that be for staff? Is it gonna require another staff member? Is it gonna require, some other fund and org line or object code line?
Yeah, so the main change, and Lisa, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but the main change in the auditing standards is really going to be shown in our report letters next year. It's not going to be a significant change on the city's team at all. So the biggest change that you'll see in the report letter is that the opinion paragraph that's currently at the very bottom of the opinion will now be moved up to the top. So what you all want to see, which is a clean opinion, will now be the first thing that you see when you look at that letter. The upcoming statement that I think is going to be the most impactful on the city's management is going to be GASB 87, which is related to the new leases that will be brought onto the financial statements. So that will take some considerable effort on management's part to pull together what's required for that standard. Now, a full-time estimate would be a hard thing to put together because it's really just dependent on how many leases will have to be analyzed. So.
And I note that you have something in here about cybersecurity and information technology controls, and that's been one of the material weaknesses that we've brought up year after year after year, is separation of, financial duties within the IT environment. So I know that you addressed that, but, I just go through and highlight stuff. On GASB 94, the new accounting pronouncement will be effective for reporting periods beginning after June 15th. So this would be in our, shortly before our next budget year, our fiscal budget starts, July 1st. So in the next one below at 96, how do you see that affecting us?
So 96 specifically is not very different from 87 related to the leases. 96 is just specific to subscriptions. So any BSNA software subscriptions that you're paying for, things of that nature, it'll just be presented slightly different on the financial statements. So an associated asset and deferred inflow will be shown on the financial statements related to any of those subscription-based leases that you would have. And then 94, truly it won't likely have a very significant impact.
Okay. So then I get to a page that's numbered, it's number 4, it's the management discussion and analysis with all the figures.
Within the financial statements?
Yeah, like,
Yes.
okay. So I'm looking at, down way at the bottom, it says, the city is the sole proprietor of the water and sewer treatment facilities and showed a 2 million, 2.1 million and a 1.5 million increase in fund balances respectively. But you've got to note that the total overall expenditures were less due to material decrease in OPEB obligations and general administrative costs. Can you speak to that a little bit?
We might refer that one over to Cliff, just
Okay.
because this is management's discussion and analysis, so this actually is not part of what we
Oh, okay.
audit. It's intended to be management's opportunity just to tell more of the story of the year and significant events.
Okay.
Yeah, what makes the water, all funds somewhat complicated is that, you gotta look at the statements in two different views. One, the fund view, and how did it do during the course of the year per the budget or by itself. Another one is, how did it do incorporating all the GAD pronouncements, all the capital assets, all the long-term liabilities? And what happened ultimately in Water Sewer Fund, and I still don't completely understand, I'm always on Lisa and one of her staff members, it has to do with the OPEB, estimated actuarial contribution, liability estimate valuations, deferred inflows and outflows, and we had a very good year based on the estimation where our costs are projected to go down. And so it impacted the fund balance. And if it's not cash, it's an estimate of what they feel is going to happen in the future. And don't ask me when in inflow and outflow, I'm still trying to get it. Because it's not measured in cash. It's measured in an evaluation done by our third party actuarial. Yeah, so that impacts it. I always like to believe that the best statement that the mayor council can use is our cash receipts, cash flow. And that really tells you how did the enterprise, the water sewer fund, or the ice arena, how did those funds do? Because if the bottom line increases in cash, they've actually done pretty well. All right, if the cash is going down, then you take a look what happened. Now in this particular case, as was noted a little while ago, our debt service is going down. And I can't take any credit for that. That's all, that was all done by when we put the bonds out, the payments. We're getting down to that point, I believe we only have 2 issues out, which is good. So that's gonna allow the mayor council to make some tough decisions, which is good. Because you're gonna have to go out there and say, what do we need to, what's our priorities? I know there was a meeting earlier. What's our priorities? Not only because you had ARPA money, which is gonna be basically relegated to water, sewer, and plus you're gonna have additional cash that you can use, that you make a determination, you wanna go cash, or you wanna go out and do the bond market. But it's a nice position to have though. You do have options.
Right.
And so, decent what, that's something if you want to come in the office, I could detail it more specifically. But the MD&A, like Lisa said, that's my analysis when I'm looking at the city as a whole, and sometimes I'm also looking at how did the fund do individually without doing all the accruals, the inflows and outflows. So it is a complicated process. If any of the mayor council have a question specifically, email me tomorrow morning, let me know, and I'll get back to you and try to put as much as I can in layman's terms.
Okay. You're gonna be sorry you asked me that. So, Cliff, I'm
Merry
looking
Christmas.
Yeah. I'm looking at page 6. I just need a little bit of help on the top of the page under revenue. We've got operating revenue, it looks like a deficit of $917,000. Then you've got non-operating revenue, property taxes, investment earnings, and other revenue. And I was kind of looking at where it says other revenue, sale of capital assets. Should that have been a deficit or a negative balance?
Yeah, that's a reduction.
Okay. Okay, all right, that explains that. And I just want to say, too, how happy I am to see a $7,730,683 general fund balance. And let me just, I have 2 more sticky notes. Ron, quit giving me dirty looks.
Pick up the pace, this is going on too long.
And I just wanted to say again, we talked about it earlier, the pension liability, 104% funded. I'm just awestruck by that. And I was kind of, I had some questions about, on page 47, On the rate of return for the fiscal year ending June 30th, the annual money rate of return on the pension plan investments, and the net of pension plan investment expense was 23.76%. Can you talk to that a little?
On page 47.
47, under rate of return.
Yeah, it's, oh, go ahead, Cliff.
Thank you.
I was gonna say, I mean, it's the return on the investments for the year, so
So we
it's a
made
percentage increase.
23.76%
On the net.
return of ROI on that.
On the
It was
bottom
a
line.
good year.
Yes.
That's damn good. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's a very good year.
Sorry.
Thank-
Mr. Loomis over there.
That's right. Thank you, Loomis Sayers.
Right.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Fournier, I yield the floor now to you.
No, I really don't have, I commend you on a well-balanced report, right? We've got some good news in here, but you tempered it with howevers. We have some things to look at, and things went in our direction, right? That made those numbers look good. The stock market did terrific, so yes, we have a great rate of return. COVID, we spent less, there's some good news in here, and yet you tempered it with, but we have to look at the issues that are on the table. So I thought you did a great job. Thank you very much. I was so glad to see your management letter has only 2 material weaknesses. And I would think at some point, that in the segregation of duties, it is what it is, right, folks? We can't go out and hire a huge staff just to get that out of but there should be some alternative ways we can help Cliff segregate some of those duties within the group that we have, so he doesn't have to get a material weakness every year, as well as, if you only made one duplicate entry.
We're floating a couple ideas.
Good.
Within reason. And one thing I really want to say too, I have 2 really phenomenal good assistants. We actually now have a good team that work really close together, and now we're on the same page with each other. It really made a big difference in the last couple of years. Yeah, so my big thing is just keep one. Keep one. I don't want to have the other one retire.
No, good, great job.
It's made a big difference.
Thank you so much. Great job. And thank you as well.
Do any of the other commissioners have any questions, comments? Sticky notes?
Just a comment, Mayor Crop. I know, Lisa, that in years past, we had this discussion at a work session. And I know that this is to be a compliment to Cliff and his staff. There was always a problem with getting the bank statements totaled and cleared out, and sometimes they went on months after month after month. And I had a discussion with Cliff, and I believe that you're telling me that we have these statements are balanced within days, 3 days. So that was a huge improvement over a period of time.
Absolutely.
And I think now that have we not consolidated things, we don't have 22 different accounts anymore.
We have actually 6.
Yeah, which is
Yes.
great. Which is
Simplification
great.
is great. Yep.
So again, a compliment not only to Plant Moran, but also to our financial staff, that they've done a tremendous job.
Absolutely.
Lisa, could you comment for us on what to expect next year when we believe we're going to hit the threshold for single audit? What that means
Yes,
in
so
terms of
there
the audit and
is-
your workload and ultimately your fee?
That's a great point, Don. So there is, as probably aware, so when an entity spends more than $750,000 of federal funding, there is a separate engagement that's required to be conducted that's referred to as a single audit, that's specific to compliance with federal program requirements. And so that's very different from a financial statement audit where we're making sure the numbers are right. In a single audit, we're making sure that they were spent, that the money was spent in accordance with the grant requirements. So that would be an additional engagement. And at this point, I might defer on commenting on cost just because it is dependent on the number of programs that we're required to audit. And at the moment, we are still awaiting final guidance on the regulations related to ARPA. And so once those are issued, we'll be able to design our audit process and have a better understanding of the time and the effort that goes into it. But it is a great point that there will be additional preparations, additional requests that we would have in order to make sure that the city followed all the requirements of the grant.
I would never do your job.
All right.
It's been an interesting couple of years.
Okay. And about to get more interesting, it sounds
Yeah,
like.
It continues. And it continues.
Yeah, well, thank you
Yes.
both. We appreciate it. Is there any further questions or comments? I do believe,
So, you want me to make the motion?
yes, I was going to say we have a
I
motion.
move the Mount Clemens City Commission hereby accept the city's financial report and management letter for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, together with the independent auditor's opinion letter and report on internal controls on fiscal reporting for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2021, as presented.
Support.
Okay, questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Dempsey,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
And thank you for this. This was very nicely done and very clear.
Okay, moving on to general business 9C, COVID-19 leave time extension. I will entertain a motion. Thank you for that.
I move to approve the extension of the paid leave option under the terms of FFCRA through June 30th, 2022.
Support.
Mr. Johnson.
We've done this 2 times already. This is, I believe, the 3rd. Basically, this provides additional time off, paid time off for people who either are quarantining because they have tested positive, or in some cases because they're caring for a family member who has tested positive. It's our belief that it's in the city's best interest to keep people in those circumstances home and away from the rest of us. So this is a good thing to do for the employees, but it's also a good thing to do from the city's best interest. And we strongly recommend it be approved.
Does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Johnson? The only question I have is I've been hearing on the news and, take it or leave it. But what I have been hearing is that there are some companies who are now only allowing or only offering this paid leave option to to employees who are vaccinated. And so I didn't know if that was something that we had looked at or had considered. Obviously, it encourages people to be vaccinated, but it also, it kind of puts some of the responsibility of protection of everyone on that too. So I didn't know if that was something that we were interested in looking at.
We did not look at that. I can understand why you might want to, but again, from my perspective, I want to protect the health of the people who are here, and I don't want to do anything that encourages somebody who's sick to come into work.
And we do have a small employee population, so it would behoove us to make sure that those that do have it don't come into work.
Right.
I understand
It just
There's
was
motive
something
for
that
it,
I
yeah.
saw that was interesting.
Yeah, I just think we just need to take care of the people that are here and not go down that road and start segregating from vaccinated, non-vaccinated. I think they're doing a good job at this point, from what I understand. People are not coming in and,
I think there's
they've
mixed
been
reviews on
handling it
that.
well.
We've had kind of both situations happen.
So,
I think we have enough trouble with the mask mandate. I'm not willing to mandate
Yeah.
vaccines.
I don't think it's our place to, so that's my opinion.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor, which would not include anything that I brought up, so.
that certainly is.
Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crump.
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
All right, we don't appear to have anything under agenda 9D, so we'll go ahead and move on to consent agenda.
Move to approve consent agenda as presented. Support.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Dempsey.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crump.
Yes.
Menzer.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Agenda item 11, city manager's report, Mr. Johnson.
Okay, let's start with marijuana. JAR's license application was approved by the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, and the city permit has been issued. I understand they opened for business on December 14th. We received a letter from a lawyer representing VBJG notifying the city of a transfer of the membership interest in VBJG from Benedito Cellini and Vincento Cellini to Gibraltar Licensing LLC, a Michigan limited liability company whose sole member is Joseph P. George. This letter was sent to comply with our ordinance's duty to supplement requirement. Housing Commission. I have appointed Teresa McGarity to complete the unexpired term of Jolene Bark on the Mount Clemens Housing Commission. This term expires January 31st, 2023. Code Enforcement. Code Enforcement Officer Laurel Emerson retired on Friday, December 17th. Laurel served the citizens of Mount Clemens for over 15 years doing what I consider to be the toughest job in the city. It's a job that nobody's ever happy with, regardless of what side of the issue you're on. Some people are claiming the code enforcement officers don't do enough, and other people think they're harassing them and that they're overdoing it. Laurel's replacement is Gary Ludek, who started 3 weeks ago. Gary comes to Mount Clemens from East Point, where he was also a code enforcement officer. We had a really nasty windstorm on December 11th that caused lots of problems in Mount Clemens and throughout the area. We had many trees and limbs down, some blocking streets. Roofing material was blown off the old Macomb Daily building, causing the fire department to order the closing of Cass Avenue. DPS actually had a problem with trying to put up barricades, even with sandbags. The barricades would blow over as fast as they put them up. Electricity was out for much of the community, while other areas suffered from brownouts. That actually resulted in an air handler motor at the DPW building overheating and catching fire. Fortunately, because we had staff working because of the other storm issues, the smoke was quickly spotted by Jeff Wood before the fire was significant, and he put it out with a fire extinguisher. But if it had happened when people weren't there, it could have been a big problem. Upcoming special events. We got the Kids' New Year's Eve at the Discovery Center of Macomb on December 31st from 4 to 9. We've got the Kids' Fireworks Show and Ball Drop at 9 p.m. Gather on Main Street near the Clock Tower. We have the New Year's Eve Gala, December 31st, Main Street at Market, 10 p.m., fireworks at midnight. The Fire and Ice Chili Cook-Off, it's February 11th in multiple locations. And the Ice Carving Show is scheduled for February 12th through 14th. Okay.
The chili cook-off is the 10th, and the ice show is the 11th through the 13th. The 14th is Monday, that one.
Okay, I took this from the previous one. Thank you.
That's okay, no problem.
I'm almost hesitant to write anything more about COVID-19 because as soon as I write something, by the time we get to the meeting, it's changed again. If you've been listening to the news today, it's just really gotten really bad in the last few days. When I wrote this on Thursday, at least Michigan was no longer number one. In fact, we had 7 states and 1 territory had surpassed Michigan's infection rate. We have no employees off. That's one I'm really hesitant to say out loud, because as soon as I do, I usually get one or two. But again, everyone in Macomb County age 5 or older is eligible to receive a COVID vaccination. For more information, visit Macomb County Vaccine Central. And I can't say enough about what a great job the Macomb County Health Department has done in handling the COVID program. It's very quick, very easy, and almost painless. And then I've got the future agendas listed. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Johnson? Hearing none, we'll move on to our second portion of public participation. Okay, sorry. This is the portion of the meeting where we invite the public to once again address the commission. We'll start with the public in person and then move to Zoom. We ask that you give us your name, your residential address, and abide by the 2-minute rule, please.
Diane Cubic, 93 Riverside, Maxon Alleys, downtown. I don't know how I forgot, and I don't mean to be a complainer, I'd rather not complain, so this is kind of preemptive. We need better snow removal. We're expecting people to pay $1 an hour to park on the streets, and they've got to navigate some kind of snow mountain around the meters and then walk to either end of the block to get where they're going or climb over the mountain. As we're growing and doing much better, I think we should really do a much better job at snow removal so that we're not challenging them. We just need to do better. That's all I had to say. I forgot that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in person who would like to address the commission at this time? Okay, seeing none, we will go ahead and move to Zoom. Do we have anybody on Zoom? Okay, all right. Well, then we'll go ahead and move to commissioner comments. Commissioner Campbell.
Our meeting tonight right here illustrated the dedication to the city that the employees we have. We had the water department chairperson here tonight giving us excellent advice. The report on the audit shows exactly how good our employees are doing with regards to financial management and everybody else. So I would just like to say thank you to all the employees that have shown the dedication, and the numbers speak for the dedication. So I want to say thank you to all the employees of the city.
Thank you. All right, move on to Commissioner Hammond.
I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and Happy New Year's.
Thank you. Commissioner Fournier.
I want to do a shout out for Laurel Emerson because I know she's taken a lot of heat in the time that she's been here, but she was a good person and she was a good employee and she tried her darndest. I do believe that. But I wish her well in her retirement and I hope she enjoys it, and I'm sorry I couldn't be at her party on Friday. I too want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas and a new year of peace and joy and love and health. To all our residents, to all our employees and their families. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Menzer.
So over the last few days, I've had an opportunity to hang out in the downtown area. I went into specifically Weirdsville Records because I have a nephew that I was having a difficulty finding a present for. And I had checked, like all of the big department stores and was running out of ideas. And he thinks he's a up-and-coming, Justin Bieber. We don't all feel that way. But I went in to talk to Davey Taylor because Davey plays in a band and he knows records and albums and he has that internet radio show. Lisa and Davey convinced me that the best gift for this, my nephew, would be some radio time. And I thought that was very, very creative, and I think that my nephew is just going to be thrilled with this, and I think that it's going to start something. But my point is, I wandered around Target, and I wandered around a couple other stores, and I said, what can I buy this kid? But when I went downtown and actually talked to one of our businesses,
They came up with a fantastic idea. I'll let you know after Christmas what happened. But, you know, so if you go down and you hang out and you talk to some of our businesses and you talk to the DDA and you get their feelings about things, I think it makes a huge difference. This made a huge difference to me. And then I went in to Max and Ollie's and you know, kind of looked around and brought her a couple of things. It is our responsibility as commissioners, as residents of this city, to support our local businesses. And I think that if you go down there and you develop a relationship and, you know, and you learn about the businesses, you will be very surprised at what they can do for you. So I encourage everyone, because you still have what, 5 shopping days? 4 shopping days? I encourage everyone, go downtown. You'd be amazed. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Mayor Kropp. On behalf of myself and my family, I would like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year. I too would like to echo about shopping in Mount Clemens. What you spend here stays here. Not only just downtown, but let's not forget about going out Cass Avenue a little bit to maybe Kratz Flowers or north and southbound Main Street. We need to make sure we're spending our dollars here. Please be kind to one another. And with that, once a Clemite, always a Clemite.
Thank you. Commissioner Dempsey.
I just want to say it was really nice to see such a positive audit report. And it's really interesting to see from, I think they went back to 2004, moving forward. It's nice to see that we have a positive outlook. And Cliff, I think that, you know, says a lot for what you and your department does also. So thank you for that. It was very interesting. I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Have a safe and happy holiday. And with that, that's it.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to our January 8th strategic planning meeting. I believe it starts at 9 a.m. At Carnes, right? We're going to have it at Carnes? Yes. At Carnes. So if any of the public would like to join us for what is to be a riveting strategic planning session, it is an open to the public meeting, so you're more than welcome. I'd like to, I had the pleasure of being part of the light parade that was put on by Pop's Sweets and Treats on Saturday. And I'd like to thank Vito for driving his classic tow truck to the and pulling the Santa sleigh with our Santa for the evening, Mr. Paul Dopke, and for him for volunteering and to Vito. It was a great event. I can't tell you how pretty emotional actually it was to turn down Macomb Place, and it was lit up and it was beautiful and all these cars going down with all these lights on it, but also how many people were in downtown. That was a pretty incredible sight. So and everyone seemed to have a Black Cat coffee cup. So that was pretty exciting too. So so thank you to everybody, to Pop Sweets and Treats, Mike Karpinski, for putting those events on, and for everyone who participated. That was really fun, and I look forward to it next year as well. I will also have coffee talk in the upcoming year. So Tuesday, January 11th, 9:30 a.m. We'll continue those morning ones on the second Tuesday of the month at John's Family Grill. And then the second Thursday of the month, which will be January 13th at 6:30 p.m. At Black Cat Coffee. So come and join us for a conversation about Mount Clemens. All are welcome. And of course, I'd like to say thank you to all of the years of service and all of the abuse online that she's taken, Laurel Emerson. And also wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays and a happy and healthy 2022. I'm looking forward to everything that it holds for our great city and all of the residents within it. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.